Bless the Maker and his water. Bless the coming and going of him. May his passage cleanse the world and keep the world for his people.
Alright, I finally got some proper PvP. So I had set up an outpost for mining ore nodes, and it was right by a research facility. And in the process, I noticed there were 2 thopters parked outside the research facility. So I was like, this is my time, it's now or never. So I dumped everything that I could potentially drop from dying into the storage chest, and then I headed out. All my skills are still level 1 because I haven't really been progressing the story all that much. What sucks is I did not have a whole lot of bandages, alright? I didn't have the time to craft them either because this was a spur of the moment thing. So I only have 5 bandages. All my gear is duraluminium, and my weapons are also duraluminium. They're not schematic weapons, they're just regular green weapons. But inside here there were 2 duos, and I believe they're Atreides faction, based off the color of like one of the guys' skin. And I saw him fighting the NPC, so I rushed him, started bombarding him with drill shots. I knew there was another guy in here because I saw 2 thopters, so I had to be a little bit careful, but I just kind of went in on him. And I don't know what he was trying to do, like he wasn't attacking me at all. I get there, like he was out of stamina, but he was kind of like bot walking away, maybe trying to get to his teammates. But for the longest time, this guy was like being super passive, which I don't really get it. One thing that's a little finicky with PvP, especially when you're fighting near PVE enemies, is the lock-on sometimes changes, and you can't really focus the guy you're trying to focus down. Also, these guys hurt, yo. These guys do so much damage. These research stations, they have like 5 to 6 waves of enemies that you have to clear in order to escape the room. Now, there's no way in hell that I'm gonna be able to clear those PvE enemies, so I kind of just locked myself in. And the other thing is, like, this guy shot me once or twice and it instantly poisoned me. So I don't know if that Bene Gesserit passive is any good or not, because it's supposed to drain stamina before you get poisoned. But that clearly didn't happen. Maybe it's because like it's a special kind of poison. It has a different icon if you take a look at that. But yeah, his thing would instantly just poison me. So I guess metabolized poison doesn't really work all that well against weapon poison effects. In which case it's kind of totally useless. Like, I'm sure I haven't really run into anyone using poison skills. I think it's mostly just on like weapon passives that they have poison. So if it does not like get blocked by the metabolized poison skill, then I feel like running that passive is like totally useless. So I have to be careful because like this guy would shoot me and the poison would go through the shield, and then I would be draining HP, and then I don't have a lot of bandages. That was the other problem. So at this point they both just started to wail on me. I had to like separate myself. I wanted to get a bandage off, and then I knew this guy was instantly just gonna auto me because that's what people do when they're chasing you down. He died fairly quickly. I'm assuming he was damaged from the PVE enemies. I don't know if these guys are in duraluminium or plastinium gear. I want to say one of the guys is in plastinium based off how his armor looks. I feel like it's the Choma armor, but I'm not entirely sure. I think this guy was rocking a still suit, but it's also a still suit that I've never seen before, so I don't know if it's T5 or T6. But then I finally got the kill on this one dude. I was out of stamina, which is totally fine because his regular hits don't really penetrate my shield. And then this guy was just spamming light attacks. So with the other guy down, it was an even 1v1. I decided to go for the loot for God knows what reason, because I'm pretty much locked in here and I can't get out. So my goal was to just like do as much PvP before they get me, which, I mean, at this point I only have 1 bandage left, so it wasn't going to be long. But I think my takeaway from this is I need to really just craft a plastinium sword at the very least. That way at least I can take down the PvE enemies while I'm fighting them. The other thing is, I think if you take down this heavy guy, it would spawn in the next wave, which is like another 5 to 6 PvE enemies, which there's no way I can deal with that, so I didn't bother with the heavy just yet. At this point, this guy was just trying to run away and heal up, and I was trying to stop him as best I could, but I think he got the heal off because I got a couple more slow blades in and he did not die. I'm so glad that they added PvP timers, because I think if it was in the previous state that it was in, the other guy would have already been back in here, and then I would have been stuck in a 1v2. And with how long it took me to kill the second guy, I was pretty sure the first guy was probably respawned. And he came back in, and then I was like, alright dude, alright. I think your armor actually makes a huge difference, because the first guy, or the still suit guy, I think it's a still suit, either that or it's a scout armor. But this guy would die fairly quickly. I wouldn't say easily, but like fairly quickly compared to how many swipes the other guy was taking. Yeah, I think it might be a still suit, because as far as I can tell, actually, it might not be a still suits. Maybe he's like combined a still suits chest piece with a light or scout armor piece. Either that or it's a scout armor set. But then I think scout armor sets are supposed to have blade mitigation. In which case this guy should probably absorb more blade attacks than the other guy, but I'm not too sure. And then at this point I was screwed, because what happened next was they both came in together and I have no heals. I can't really get out of here alive because I'm not going to be able to clear the PVE waves. I mean, it was a suicide mission from the get-go and I'm not really losing anything except for like a little bit of durability. And I was going to die anyways, like I was stuck there regardless, so I'll take that. That was actually so much fun. I was over here, I guess, at the right place in the right time because the storm was just coming by and I was just like admiring the storm, and I happened to notice that there was a guy on the roof. Luckily, he didn't like headshot me or whatever. I don't know why. I think he had like the perfect opportunity as well. But I turned around, I saw him, and I was like, what the hell, dude? And it also looks like grenades actually go through the penta shield for some reason, which is a little toxic. I thought the penta shield would like block grenades and stuff, but I guess it doesn't. I think it blocks bullets though. But I think this guy also had a special schematic because he was doing 2 drill shots per shot. But I just kept doing the same thing of like peeking in and out and firing him with drill shots. And then eventually I thought, you know what, I could probably mess him up with melee combat because I've had a bit of practice with that. And then this guy also used the spice prescient state. I think he was trying to mainly just raid the base. He probably thought there's like a ton of loot inside, but the base is basically a cube and each foundation is a cube in itself. So it's basically a whole cube all throughout. And if you're gonna raid it, you're gonna get absolutely nothing. Because the only time there's something here is when I'm here, and that's with my buggy. I mine, disassemble the buggy, and take it back home. But yeah, I was messing him up in melee combat and he decided to just bindu sprint out. Which, I mean, alright dude, alright, good shit. I think if I wasn't here, he probably would have tried getting through like a couple walls. But yeah, that was actually quite interesting. Right place, right time. Like I said, I was craving so much PvP and I'm glad like I'm finally running into all these situations. There's like so many Thopters out here. They put a medium, or not a medium, but a large spice fields on zone E or grid E. Like it's literally right here. And this is the PvE zone, this is the PvP zone. So like you can get away in like literally not even a minute. And there's like, I want to say about 10 ships here right now farming. And the downside is that Shai Hulud comes out like every 10 seconds or something. Like there we go, he's already out. Like I literally just landed and the guy just like came back. Like what the heck? I think the worst part is like when the bloom happens, like you literally can't see anything. Like I don't even know if I'm going up or down. Like I can look at the altitude thing, but like literally I can't see shit right now. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yo, this is not okay. I think he's still underground. He knocked me out and he knocked my Thopter. I thought I was dead for a second. But I don't think you take collision damage unless he's actually outside of the grounds. I think this time when I land, I'm just gonna shoot the closest guy to me. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. How is he already breaching? I think it's the crawler. Because by the time we get down and land, oh my god, look at that mouth. By the time we get down and land, the crawler's already farming. And I think it's like aggroing the worm like crazy. Okay, whoever's next to me is getting shots. I am sorry, but I need to cause a little bit of chaos here. I got my weapon out. Oh my god, he's trying to shoot me. What an asshole. I'm joking, I'm joking. That was all me actually. Oh shit, I'm on the crawler. What happens when he takes off? Yo, I got a free ride. Alright, this guy's gonna start running away. Ooh. Now he instantly just panicked and ran. Can I get this guy? I think I got him. Oh my god, these guys, actually, this might be the time to actually see the giant worm come out, so... Oh shit, my game froze. Okay, thank god. Imagine if you crash there, you're dead. I thought that guy was gonna get caught up, but I guess not. There's like a height threshold to where it like kills you. Damn, dude, what a sight. One of these days, I need to test the kill border on that thing. Like if I dive with the scout, is it gonna instantly kill me? But yeah, like the spice field today, the large one is like literally right here, and that's the PVE zone, so everyone, literally everyone is out here farming. So most of the guys have actually settled up on this little island. It's turned into like a village almost. It's like an apartment complex, if you will, because the spice field is literally right over there, like you can see it just barely. And that's where everybody's living. And I didn't want to be caught up in that like cluster mess, so I moved right here. Perfect spot, PVE, and then it's like PvP over there. Hello and welcome to the deep desert. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do one video or a bunch of clips, but today is Wednesday and a new update just went live that made boosters on scouts crazy. Like, I'm not even joking. Look at the speed on this thing. 100, I think it goes up to 199 if I'm holding it straight. Yeah, 199 speed, and it goes from like 0 to 199 like instantly, and it's crazy fast. Like ever since I started using this, I don't ever want to use a scout with a storage again. But this week is actually a phenomenal week to be in the deep desert, and that's mainly because there's a spice field, a ringworm spice field right over there, and that's right after the PvP border. It's like an E5 but in the PvP zone, so it's like super safe. This is probably the safest thing you could have aside from having that thing in the PvE zone. So I set up over here on that little island. That's my house. That's the control point. And then everything past this boundary that I'm drawing is PvP, but over there it's PvE. And then there's an island over there that's also PvE, but like it's loaded up the ass with bases. Like it's almost like an entire apartment complex or a village over here. And that's the situation with like most of the islands over there. Like everyone has moved out here. So many freaking bases. And initially when I set up on that little rock over there, I was alone, but that base and that base has popped up as well. But yeah, I'm leaning towards doing like one video that's like a whole week's worth of adventure in the deep desert as a solo player. I got into like a bunch of shenanigans, a little bit of PvP, a little bit of anti-raiding, a bunch of farming. I pretty much have the same base layout as I did last time. So this is my base, and then this is the large ore refinery, which I've been using to process all the spice. I got my assaults. So on my server, the Atreides have been winning, or they won last week. I switched over to the Atreides colors so I can blend in as a Harkonnen. Don't tell anybody, it's top secret, but I have my 2 wind traps over here. I do like the passive regeneration. It at least like takes care of the needs for like the character and the water consumption. And then I have a bunch of these set up as well. So I have a total capacity of 226,000 milliliters. I was running out of space, so I had to put one of the large storage boxes up here, and this one I think houses the spice. Or well, it's dry now because I converted it into melange. But yeah, it's been working pretty nicely. I don't need penta shields. It counts as sheltered. So if I go over to this manage, it's safe as far as decay goes. It's like 3 walls high, but at the bottom row I have walls, half walls I think, with fences. And then this way down is like the actual base itself. So everything behind this wall is like a generator spam. Let me just show you. This is where I hide all the generators running the base. Isn't that crazy? I need all of these. Maybe I'll like, I could maybe take away like 1 or 2, but I think I need most of these to be active. I want the inner wall. Here we go. And currently as it stands, it's able to, yeah, I'm like barely meeting the power requirements. And I think it's going to be up for the whole time. So 5 days, 2 hours. And then if I go exit to main menu, the storm comes in 5 days, 10 hours. I think that's good enough. Because it's not like I'm going to do it at the last second. I'm probably going to transport everything out either Monday or Sunday. I got my 2 advanced Fremen death stools. This is basically what's taking care of my production needs. And then I built a bunch of chests for everything. The other thing I did, which I feel like is such a time save, is way far out in one of the zones that has a bunch of titanium, which is like right over here. This island has like 5 nodes. This island has like around 10 nodes, and then there's like 15 to 20 nodes scattered around this research site. The only thing is, that's all aluminum. Stravidium is like a little bit scarce over here. There's like upwards of 9 to 7 nodes of stravidium. And I have a buggy outpost, which I've been using very carefully, so that even if I do get raided, I don't really lose anything. But yeah, this one has, I think, most of the spice that's left over. I refined quite a bit of it. And then this is all just like the raw resources that I've been pulling over from the buggy. So this is all the spice that I've processed so far. This is like on Wednesday. Tuesday was like when I came out and set this up. And I got a large ore refinery down because a lot of the comments were telling me that this is just as good as the large spice refinery, but for ingots. And right now the only thing holding me back is like the water amounts. As the water flows in, I just craft and it's like rinse and repeat. I think each refill of water from the 2 advanced death stools gets me like 80 ingots, which isn't too bad. And then I got the medium chemical refinery, and yeah, it's just like a compact and cozy setup, which is enough for my solo needs. Also got my little Muad'Dib over here. Isn't that cute? And then as soon as you stare him down, he like instantly just hides away. But yeah, that's my cozy little base setup. Obviously all the nodes and locations changes from like week to week, but this one is so good. Because like I said, there's a spice field literally right over here. And this is like all PVE, and then this is PvP. So chances of you dying is like very, very rare. There's people with carriers and crawlers that I've been seeing farming non-stop, and a couple of them do get attacked every now and then. But like I said, the PvE zone is like literally right here, so chances of you actually dying is like non-existent. And the booster changes on the scout is like next level. Like I don't ever want to go back to storage. This thing is pretty slow though. And the other thing that's been like super convenient is the refining outpost I set up. Before I go over there, let me just show you what I do. I bring all my buggy components and I just keep it stored up like this. And every time I want to go gather a bunch of nodes, I take the buggy components along with the storage assaults. And I go over there, I farm, I disassemble, and then come back. The only time I can actually get raided is right after or like right during the storm. So I just make sure that I'm never leaving stuff over there if I'm not online or if I'm not going over there, if that makes any sense. But yeah, honestly, if you're flying a Thopter, like if you have boosters, which you should on assaults, look, there's a person over there. You should almost never use your engine unless it's for takeoff and landing. And especially with the scouts, like all you do is you booster and you hold S and you go straight vertical. Look at the altitude gain. And the best part is it doesn't use fuel, right? So I can go across the limits of fuel consumption and just we're chilling. And then as long as your pointer is like somewhat around here, like at the horizontal line, or I think it can be slightly up, you don't lose speed. And the altitude drop is like 1 second or 1 meter per second. So you have like around 200 to 300 seconds before you like get low enough where you have to boost up again. I'm still rocking cheap ass duraluminum weapons that drop from point of interest. The only good thing I have is my armor set. I still have yet to craft the plastinium weapons. It's not that I can't, it's just that I'm super lazy. I kind of wish that the T6 sights would drop regular T6 weapons and armor, but that's not the case. I don't know why that is. I'm assuming they did it because it's like PVE zones and stuff. The whole game up to T5 has been doing that, and then they suddenly decide to not do it for T6, which I'm like, come on, dude. Just let us have regular T6 weapons drop from POIs. That way I don't have to craft it. But this is where I set up my ore refining thing. So the assault actually does fit into this little hole. What I have to do is though I have to land it in. I kind of just like drop in or drop out and then it instantly lands itself. But it has like its butt pointed upwards. So I have to demolish like these two walls for it to settle down. And then once it goes all the way down, it's usually within the section. So it's like safe from stuff. I don't know if grenades and stuff can still damage the wings, because they like poke out just a tiny bit, but it's good enough for my needs. And then, okay, and obviously I have it all set up in the Atreides architecture, because last week there was like an Atreides, or there was a lot of Atreides, and they won. And I feel like if this was Harko, someone would probably try to raid it a lot more often. But I have like, it's a lot of honeycombs. All it is like a bunch of honeycombs with just enough room for a assault thopter to land. And every time I come with the buggy, I have to make like a little bit of room downstairs. But these chests are usually empty. What I do is like I take out the buggy, farm up to like max capacity, fill up the assault thopter, take that back, and then all the other remaining resources are like in these chests until I come back. I never usually want to like leave the buggy unattended on the off chance that there's a storm and somebody raids it. So it's like fairly safe, to be honest. I want to say it's like almost fully safe. Even if somebody raids it, like I'm losing absolutely nothing except for the basalts or plastone that went into building this thing, which is like almost negligent because of how cheap building is. And then this is the other section. This is where I parked my buggy, but you can't park it in a 1x2. So what I have to do is I have to demolish these things. And then this opens up like enough room for the buggy to sit here as I offload and unload. And it's just like I said, it's a whole ton of honeycombs. So you'd have to go through like 3 to 4 layers to actually reach the generator and the subfief. And the only requirement for this is 1 generator. So I can have like multiple generators hidden in each section. So honestly, think of it like each foundation has walls all around it. So it's like a cube and a roof. And it's like a bunch of cubes all throughout. So if someone raids it, they're just gonna waste their time and get absolutely nothing. But yeah, it's like a little cozy cube outpost. Nothing fancy, like I didn't want to build fancy. And then there's a research site right over there. But that one's actually very difficult. Okay, so if you look, I just got the zone change thing. So that was the border, and that's the ringworm spice field. It's literally on the border of the PvE and PvP zone. And then my base is right there. So as you can see, the trips are so short. It's only, I think, 2,000 meters away. And then I can just go back and forth on the assault and farm all the spice. I think my plan this week is to farm so much spice and plastinium that I can just go retire and continue PvEing forever. But it's like, every time I'm like, I'm just gonna go back to questing, something happens and I'm like, I have to take advantage. And this week, it's that spice field that's literally right over there. Alright, so while I was at my outpost, a guy got stuck in the research facility that's at G6, and they were asking for help, so I was like, I was right there, I'll come along. And that was a massive mistake on my end. Okay, so at this point, all my gear is duraluminium. My armor is a mix of scouts and heavy unique schematics in the duraluminium tier. My weapons are just the basic ones that you can loot from point of interests at half durability. So nothing too fancy there. This other guy that I came to help, he's also T5 everything. And oh my goodness, the enemies are so difficult. So to put it into perspective, if I go into any of the research sites or shipwrecks in the A row with the duraluminium weapons, I can 2-shot a shielded guy with the slow blade. Whereas if I bring that same gear over to anything in the PvP zone, these enemies usually take like 5 to 6 slow blades to kill, which is an insane difference.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's honestly a struggle bus. Even with 3 people, I think you need plastinium to make it easier. When I went there, I had no bandages. I'm struggling with plant fiber. I haven't really been farming it up, so I went in with no med kits, but one of the guys luckily spared a couple. And then at some point my battery pack also broke, because I'm assuming these guys did like a lot of damage to my shields and my battery pack just got depleted. About like halfway through, or a bit less than halfway through, I was fighting with no shields, and man that was tough. I don't actually know if these things are worth it to do in groups, because even though they drop like upwards of 3 to 4 schematics, I feel like it's maybe not worth it to run these because of the amount of time it takes, versus if you hit up a shipwreck, most of those, it's just you sprint in, get the ID band, get the loot, whereas for this thing you have to clear so many waves of enemies. I guess this is like the end game PVE, if you will. There are a couple cool schematics I think this week. I think the lasgun T6, and there's like a still suit that I want to grab. Yeah. I think it looks cool cosmetically. And it also has a catch pocket size of 1500. Okay, so as part of my deep desert bucket list, I had 2 items left, which was seeing the grandfather worm and checking out the crawler. So there's a big Atreides guild on the server. I don't know how big exactly. And they usually come out with the crawler carrier and like 4 bodyguards. But I was initially planning on setting up a carrier and crawler and hopefully having somebody pilot the crawler while I pilot the Orny. But I was a little skeptical because you never know, like if the person that you're asking to help you might actually grief you or might steal the vehicle. So what ended up happening was like I put in chat that if I made a crawler and carrier, would somebody be okay with piloting it for me? And a lot of people said yes. But later on, a guy hit me up to do a duo operation. So what we did was I had a pocketed rocket scout on my backup tool, and then I was going to ride the crawler, and then he was going to ride the carrier. It was very risky doing this, but this was like at off hours. This was like late in the night, so there wasn't a whole lot of people on. I checked, there's a website called Dune status that you can use to check the population on your server, and at that time the population was fairly low. And I asked him like, are you sure you want to do this as a duo operation? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, all right. Worst case scenario, if he got shot down or if he lost a vehicle, I'd probably like give him like 500 melange or something to help him recuperate the cost. For me, it was mostly just the experience of doing it. Like I wanted to experience it at least once. So the slower you go, the better it is. I think I might have been going a little bit too slow. I feel like you could go a little bit faster, but if you hold W, it leaves like a lot of spice behind. And as I would get to the edge of the ring, the guy would pick me up and turn me around. Because the turning on this thing is pretty slow. But we did that for like about 4 to 5 rows. And another guy showed up on a scout. And the other guy thought that he was probably calling in his homies to attack us. And I think he could have been right. Because this guy did get attacked quite a few times today. Like there was an attack that I witnessed myself particularly. But I think he was saying he got attacked like a couple of times that day. So we decided to just haul back what we got because we didn't want to risk it. The only defense was like 1 rocket scout, and that was going to be me, but it's not going to hold up against like a lot of people. We did get like upwards of I think 36,000 spice, and he suggested that we split it 50-50, but I was like, you should get more. So I took 15,000 and he took the remainder. Honestly, not bad. I think the whole excursion in total lasted like 40 minutes, maybe less, maybe like 30 minutes. The longest thing was like the travel time, and I think having boosters would have probably helped a lot. Another thing I noticed was that the worm did not pop up once. It wasn't until the solo guy got there and started compacting that the worm drew attention, because otherwise I was just doing rows after rows and the worm just did not come. I think it might have been maybe because the update was coming in or something, I'm not entirely sure, but the worm was on vacation. And I mean, it works for me, right? I got a ton of spice. I don't think you should really do this. I mean, I did it as part of this thing, but I'm on a medium population server, and this was like during off hours. Like not a lot of people were online. But even then it's risky, right? Because this guy has gotten attacked quite a few times in a single day. But I think it's fine if you're like by the one that's in E5, because it's right at the border of the PvP zone and the PvE zone. So you can pretty much safely get away every time. However, doing it as a duo, I still would not recommend it. And then I was initially thinking I'd try it solo, but yeah, that's never gonna happen. Like maybe if you're like swimming in spice and stuff, if you farmed up a bunch, then you could go risk it, but I still don't recommend it. I feel like the amount of time it takes and the amount of effort it takes, you'd probably be better off just like farming in your assaults. But yeah, all in all, that was a great experience, and I'm so glad we ended up doing that. Big shout out to this guy for like letting me tag along. I witnessed probably one of the most horrific things ever. I had a fear of this. I knew this could happen at some point, and I just see the worm breach and an explosion, and the guy's Thopter gets destroyed and he's stranded on foot. Luckily, I think he was on his assault and he had his scout as a backup, so I was able to lend him a fuel cell and he was fine. But that kind of really sucks that that can actually happen. Like if you're out farming in masses, the worm can actually spawn in the center, so someone might get screwed over, which is gonna be interesting. I just hope it's not me. My mining outpost got raided by this guy called Rook Knight, and it looks like he got through like a couple walls, and I wasn't on, or I wasn't paying attention, I guess. I don't know what I was doing at the time that I got raided, but I came over to this place to see the kind of damage he had done, and it wasn't significant. I don't think he got close to where the actual Self-Thief and generator are, but I'm assuming he used the last gun to do this. But yeah, it turns out that honeycombing it like crazy worked out in my favor because the guy wasn't able to get all the way inside, and then I don't think he got any loot because there was nothing left at the base. Mainly because I wasn't doing the buggy farm over there. And then while I was working on my base, my neighbor showed up and he started helping me repair the Thopter. I got into a battle, or not really a battle, but someone attacked my assault, and then I went out with rockets to fight him back, but then they instantly just ran away. So that was like a little bit anticlimactic. Then I just came back to repair my Thopter so I could go back out and farm even more spice. So since the spice field was on E5, a lot of people were like poking in and out from the PvP and PvE boundary. Like they would hop over, shoot a couple shots, and then they would run away, and they would rinse and repeat. And it was honestly just like a nuisance more than anything else. So my neighbor wanted to borrow the large spice refinery, and I let him borrow it for like about a day or about a night. And the next day he had his own large spice and ore refinery. It benefited me so much because I had given him access to be able to craft from the large refinery, and anytime he would be on, he would just queue up my spice for me. So instead of costing me 10,000 spice, it was only costing me 7,500 spice per 200 melange, and that was because the Atreides guys had like a 25% discount this week. That coupled with the fact that E5 was so close with the spice field, everything was perfect this week as far as like farming goes.
Heck yeah, coffee's base is kind of sick. I'm kind of jealous.
What are you talking about? You don't like my box? Come on.
Honestly, for a box, you made it stylish.
But eventually, I made my way to the research station that was dropping las guns with my neighbor while we were waiting for water. And there was a guy inside here. Now, I was kind of just feeling the area out. Like, the other guy kind of went in for a knee charge. And I wasn't really going to attack that guy unless he provoked me. And over here, I was just like chilling, and he started shooting me with the disruptor shots. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, we could have been peaceful and shared all the loot at the end, because I think you get like 3 to 4 blueprints. But this guy chose violence. Like, and then as soon as I got my cripple strike ready, like, it was over for him.
2v1, you can't even do it.
So over here, I was trying to click, but nothing happened. I don't know what was going on over there. But also, like, if you're trying to do a slow blade along with a teammate near you, you kind of just like trip over yourself or like a body or something, and the slow blade never actually goes through. But yeah, I don't know. This guy was just talking shit for no reason. He initiated the combat, and then he was like, oh, 2v1, blah, 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 blah. And then he came back again for round 2, I guess. So yeah, that was interesting. Like, I don't know what he was trying to do. We could have been peaceful, we could have shared the loot and stuff, but...
You guys are fucking...
It's just part of the game, man. Chill.
2 of you, though. There's 3.
We're here to... We didn't come as 2 to kill you. We came as 2 because we wanted to get the loot.
Yeah.
We were just like, we just went there for the loot, right? We didn't really go in there to like bully somebody or like be toxic, but like number one, you're in a PvP zone, so obviously expect people, and also number two, you started it and then you're blaming us. Like, get with the program, man. And then once we cleared the research site, he came in again for a third time, and this time I was like, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to wrap the chest. That's what I'm guessing. I'm assuming he was hoping to run in there, snag the loot, run outside, and then get on his Thopter. At which point we probably wouldn't have been able to chase him because like none of us brought rockets. But yeah, I knew what he was trying to do, and I was not gonna let him have the loot. So the teammate actually went in and pressed E on the chest to loot all the stuff, and I think he got 2 lasgun blueprints. And then I believe there was still one more left in the chest, so I ended up with 1 lasgun, and he took 2 lasgun BPs, but I think overall it was fine. I farmed a couple more lasguns afterwards. And then over here, I was like blown away. I'm struggling with spice and stuff as a solo, meanwhile these guys have like 2 crawlers, 2 carriers, and they're just doing like crazy farming operations. And this was another guy who had a fairly close call with Chai Halud. I don't know why he didn't take off until like the very last minute, but the worm almost got him. He like barely got out of that one. Okay, and then this is like the biggest annoyance that I've ever had. It's the inventory bug. So you notice there, I just put 1 duraluminum in my assault Thopter to see what was going on, and then when I came back, it was filled with stravidium for some reason. So I went back and depoted the stravidium in my base, and then I came back with an empty inventory, and then I crossed the border. I sped up the footage, and then when I go back, it was filled with even more stravidium. This was probably the closest call I've had with Chai Halud. Now this is like one of my biggest fears ever while doing spice harvesting. And then there's also been like an abundance of flying worms. I don't know what has been going on this week, but it has been filled with all kinds of bugs.
Nice. What the fuck?
And then this was another bug. So this was my neighbor. We were doing a little bit of farming in Hockey Basin, and I was riding Copilot on his Thopter. I tried to exit it, and for some reason, it put me in like a really weird camera angle, but I couldn't do anything, and I had to relog to fix the issue.
Wow.
And then this is another clip. I was waiting in one of the research stations for a random player to join me, and I saw 2 people go past me. They did not see me at all, which is crazy. But we eventually joined them, and then we didn't actually like fight them. We were friendly with them. But yeah, just to put it into context, like what I was saying, this guy is shielded. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slow blades with duraluminum swords, or rapiers rather. That's crazy. And then I joined another solo player for more spice crawler stuff before he was like doing this solo. And then this is a super weird bug that we ran into. It seems to be tied to the quicksand. So the main guy, he disconnected, which caused both of us to fall down. And then I fell down, but I didn't fall on the quicksand, which is good. I kind of landed there and I did not leave the vehicle. I was waiting for the other guy to get back. Luckily, it looks like the carrier also didn't land in the quicksands. But when the guy tried to pick up the crawler, it would not let him for some reason. And then when I exited the vehicle, it shot me to the skyboarder. So there's definitely something buggy going on over there. I'm guessing it didn't update our positions or something. And like I said, he could not lift up the vehicle. I could not enter the vehicle anymore. Like for some reason I would ghost through the vehicle itself. We tried to disassemble it with the wielding torch, but that also didn't work. And then I was trying to push it with
Yeah, we could
the
try and
assault
push it.
booster, but
Only problem is
the
we
closest
don't have
land
close enough to the
formation was like
sand,
really far away.
it's
So what I tried doing
making
was
things
I
go
tried
down.
loading to another
If
map
that doesn't
border,
work,
and as
it's
soon
probably
as I
just
loaded
stuck bug,
across
then we
the
have to wait
border,
for a server
it kicked
relog
me out
if
of
it
the
hasn't
game
been
into a
eaten or
loading
created by
screen.
then.
It updated the crawler position, so the guy was actually able to get the crawler, and it spawned me on the ground on quicksands, which luckily I was able to get out of that as well. But that was a really weird bug.
Freaking weird.
And then this was something I thought was like super lucrative. So this was a third player who joined the other guy I was doing the crawler carrier stuff with, and he took down a duo with a carrier crawler using a rocket scout as a solo. Like it was just him, he was bombarding them with rockets, and I think you have to take down 3 or maybe 4 wings on the carrier, and it brings it down. And then this guy's other friend who was with him, he bailed. He like got into his scouts and he left him to die with the carrier and crawler.
We're taking that get the spice.
You ain't gonna get it.
I got some ability missiles. You're done,
buddy.
Then do it. End it. Why are you taking so long?
Because I ran missiles, man.
Why are you taking so long? End it.
I'm waiting for shipping to get here, bro. Deliveries take time, bro.
Let my vehicle
Okay.
go.
Yeah, I'll let the vehicle go. Alright,
Let my
alright.
vehicle go.
That works for me. That works
I'm
for
by
me.
myself, bro. Like seriously.
Okay. Alright.
But then ultimately we reached like a civil conclusion where the guy said if he handed over all his spice that we would let him go. So this guy basically robbed him of 30,000 spice in exchange for letting him like leave with his crawler and carrier. And then just to be like a little bit nicer, we repaired his vehicle so that it was in a state where he would be able to like fly it out because a sandstorm was also coming. But yeah, this was like all the spice that we got out of that one dude. Okay, today is Monday and the Lance Red decree has gone in and the Harkonnen won and we got access to the weapons vendor. I was under the assumption that we would get access to maybe every single T6 unique weapon, but that's actually not the case. He only has like a limited supply of unique schematics. The ones that I did not have are Ambition and the Ancient Way. Everything else seems kinda shit, but you can actually buy T6 weapons straight up, like the base ones, for Solari, which seems kinda crazy. So this is a bit of a gamble, but I bought the Regis weapons, and I'm going to list them on the market to see if someone is stupid enough to buy these. I'm gonna list both the Rapier and the Sword for 250,000. And then I think I'll do 450,000 for the rocket launcher. I don't think they'll sell, but on the off chance someone buys them, I'll be filthy rich. Okay, today is Tuesday, so we've come back full circle. I started on Tuesday and I think I'm gonna end it on Tuesday, so it'll be like 1 week's worth of Dune content. Mostly just the deep desert. As you'll notice, I got these spice generators down, and these 3 are the only ones that are powering my base. These things are actually a little bit crazy. So if you take a look at this one, it's loaded up to the max. These are not that bad to craft either because they don't take actual melange, they only take the spice residue. And this thing is going to be powered for 29 days. That is crazy. Just the 3 of these are going to keep my base active for like about a month. And then I also crafted the carrier. Do I need this? Probably not. Is it going to make things easier? Absolutely. Because now I can go from here all the way to Sheol and farm the Jasminium crystals. And I can also take this over to Haga Rift to farm the Earthright crystals. Yeah, so this is probably just going to make farming a whole lot easier. It's huge. It's actually massive. I had to tear down like one of these sections up here on the roof in order to fit this guy. It is crazy big. And then I also went ahead and expanded my base a little bit. I added this section here, which is like an Atreides section. I need to work on this like a little bit more. I'm not super happy with like the way I have it set up structurally. I probably want to add more stuff down there. But this one houses the large large spice refinery rather. And this is all in Haga Basin. So this is like the biggest flex as a solo player. Am I going to be using this? Probably not. But it's just there for decoration more than anything else. And the best part is if I tear this thing down, I'm just going to get all the resources back anyways. And then these are the advanced fabricators. So we got one for the weapon, we got the survival fabricator, and then the garment fabricator. This is my new storage section. So I got the big chest, which I don't think these guys are worth it. I feel like you could probably fit like 4 or 5, maybe 6 of these in place of one of these. But yeah, this one's loaded up the ass with duraluminum. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is probably a waste of resources if anything else. But they look cool, so I mean, it's kind of okay. And then over on the east wing, I have this little Harkonnen section which houses the large ore refinery, which has been super amazing for just producing a lot of duraluminium and aluminium. But I've actually gotten quite a lot of the plastinium blueprints. I'm still missing like about 50%. The biggest issue is they're on like a weekly rotation and they're not really adding newer stuff to the rotation. I feel like they're just repeating a lot of the stuff. But I think the best armor piece might be the pincushion set. It lowers your stamina cost. It gives you light dart mitigation, blade mitigation, and heavy dart mitigation. So it's like giving you both the benefits of scouts and heavy into one set. So like that central structure that's built with the chome foundations and stuff, that's where I started the base. And then I added this component, I added that component, and this side, and that side. And it's been like a modular building setup. And I also heard that like D6 or D5 got turned into like a PvP zone overnight or something, and a lot of people lost their bases. But yeah, I think the biggest issue for me is that inventory thing. Like imagine if I take 300 duraluminium or 500 spice melange out there only to lose it instantly. Like I'm not risking that, yo. Plus, like I said, I farmed up like crazy, so I'm all set for like maybe a month even. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start focusing on all my contracts and my story missions, because that's something I've been really looking forward to, and now I'm just gonna chill and take a break from the deep desert.